and the quarterback's not quite ready to go, it sends a sure panic on both players' part. I've been in this situation in the NFL as well as in college. I get open and I'm ready for the ball, but the quarterback's not ready to throw, and then he rushes the throw, and it gets you turned around and gets you off a little bit. They came back to that same play later in the game, and they were able to hit it.
They hit it. But Odunze looked like he wanted over the inside shoulder off his break.
Well, as soon as he got open, he put his hands up.
He put his inside hand up.
Can we pull the play back up? Because the thing that I want to watch, and Keyshawn mentioned it, he's not ready to throw. The reason he's not ready to throw is his drop. And we see this so many times. Quarterbacks' inconsistent feet lead to inconsistent throws. And, you watch him throw off of that back foot. And I think that's the key right there. When quarterbacks don't have their feet timed up in the drop and ready to throw and don't get all of their cleats into the ground to make that throw, it leads to that type of inconsistency. So that's something you just can't do at the next level. And you look at young guys and C.J. Stroud. Yeah, I'm going to mention him because he's an Ohio State guy, but he's also going to be the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. The thing that you see out of him is consistency with that drop. And, we had a chance this past weekend to call the Patriots game, and Bailey Zappe's, even though he hasn't spoken to Tom Brady, he talked about just how detailed Tom Brady always was with those drops and really timed that drop up to the route combinations and to the progression. Okay, you get those first 3 or 4 steps. Read one. Okay, quick hitch, reset the feet, get the next step. You see from Michael Penix, it's just almost like a panic throw, right? He's throwing off of that back foot, and more often than not, that's going to lead to problems.
Yeah, and you're not in the Pac-12 anymore. You're up against these guys, right?
Yeah,
okay.
That's true.
Or you're not playing Texas anymore. Okay, so now let's look at the first play of the second half. When they get the ball and they're down 20-13, very first play, Mason Graham, who I love, I just think he's a monster of a force in the middle of that Michigan defensive line, only a true sophomore. He blows this play up and blows up Michael Penix, and the ball goes straight up in the air. He's being doubled, and he still blows it up, and the ball gets picked. And it felt like that was their chance to make a statement, to go down and score. And that Mason Graham, he's 320 pounds, and he looks like he's even more of a force than the kid we drafted in the first round, Mozzie Smith. So, man, he's still got at least one more year at Michigan. He's going to be a terror next year.
No, Michigan's got some depth.
Yeah, and it's that interior pressure that's just so difficult to deal with, because you can't really do anything with formations. You can't do anything with chips with the back. You get interior pressure. I mean, obviously a guy out there in L.A., Aaron Donald, we've seen him do it for a number of years. We had an opportunity to see Quinnen Williams up close and personal, and you get that interior pressure. There's just nowhere for the quarterback to go, and you combine that with any type of edge pressure, and it's dangerous. I mean, there's just nothing you can do. And you saw it right there. Graham's so good with his hands, good with his technique. And, that's something that's, again, it's for younger players. Yeah. It's just difficult to learn. It's difficult to learn the details of the technique. But using those hands like that, being able to split double teams, combine that with some extra moves that he's going to have developed and get into his toolkit, man, he's going to be dangerous.
Okay, let's look at this play quickly, because the irony of this play is it's Michigan's one and only first down or third down conversion of the game. Third down conversion. It's 3rd and 8 from the 9 late in the third quarter. And J.J. McCarthy, who did not have a great game, gets loose up the middle, and he's got some speed and some athletic ability to make you miss. And you saw it on full display here. And it just got them out of jail, because it felt like it's still the score still stuck on 20-13. It felt like Washington had them.
But you're at the second and third wave of defense, like Robert mentioned earlier. Those dudes are slow. Yeah, there's no acceleration. There's no speed. This is a quarterback, you should be able to close and converge on him just like that. But they were not able to, and he picked up the necessary yardage. And as they converged on him, it looked like a couple of them might have closed their eyes when they went to tackling.
And hit each other.
Hey, that's what I was going to say. It's one thing to converge on a guy, man. You got to make the tackle, right? And we know it's more of a problem in the NFL. I mean, you've got 15 padded practices in the NFL once the season starts now, right? It's not like that in
like
college.
He closed his eyes.
You got to get those guys to the point. Take that extra step and make that tackle. Defensive lineman start to jog as soon as he gets a couple of yards downfield. I mean, that level of effort's not going to get it done.
Okay, so that's 1 out of 10 on third down for Michigan. And we get to the denouement of this game, the final last hurrah for,
Michael, I love it's
for Michael Penix. This is the throw that he made early in the fourth quarter, and he finally connects on one, and a flag flies. If we can see the play. Yeah, it is one big-time good. It's a pump and go. He threw it off his back foot, but he got Rome Odunze open. He made a nice catch straight over the shoulder, over the head, and there's a hold on the play. And it's called back, and that was basically the end of Washington on that.
Yeah, they was having all sorts of problems on that right side of the offensive line all night long. Yeah. And so I guess the only thing you can do is grab him at that point, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get beat like that. You watch, he doesn't take any kind of set. You know, that first step, you got a speed rusher like that. That step's got to be upfield, right? And doesn't converge on him quickly enough, doesn't close the door on the inside. It's just bad feet, right? You can't you can't just use your hands in a situation like that. Once you take that set, you got to use your feet and get back to the inside. And look, man, it's easier said than done. And we talk about, we want to be a line of scrimmage team, and everybody says that's the way to win national championships. Those guys are hard to find. Like, it's one thing to find a big guy, right? Then you got to find a big guy that's got decent feet. But then you got to have, especially when those guys make that transition and moving forward a little bit, guys just got to have a little bit of mean on them. You know that, Key, right? Like those offensive linemen, the best offensive linemen, they got those elements. They got the size, they got the speed, they got the feet, but they just got a little bit of mean on them. And you just didn't see that. You better get some of those guys, but there are only so many of them around.
Yeah. So, Keyshawn, did Rome Odunze, Kirk Herbstreit calls him the best receiver in college football, he catch your eye at all? I don't know that he's special.
No, I don't think he's the best. No, the best dude is at Ohio State. That's hands down.
I said that last night. I'm like,
it's not even that guy at Ohio State. He's calling the game, so I understand. Yeah, he's calling the game.
I mean, Rome was incredibly productive.
He's productive and he's good, but the best receiver is at Ohio State. And that's Marvin Harrison Jr.
And you interviewed him.
Yeah, that's the best receiver. Okay. It's not even close.
All right, Robert, back to you. Let's deal with the issue that is prevailing right now. Should there be an asterisk on this championship because Jim Harbaugh did get suspended for a recruiting violation for 3 games to start, and then obviously for the spying operation that he oversaw, he was suspended for the 3 games late, starting obviously Penn State. What's your gut feeling on how this championship should be viewed historically?
Yeah, I don't really think that there should be an asterisk on it. I mean, for me, I do have some faith in the investigation, and I think that they did what they needed to do. I mean, you fire the linebacker coach, and, you obviously make that change. He served his suspension, and, I think the details of this are going to be figured out here at some point. But my guess is that the linebacker coach and Counter Stallions, they wanted to keep this isolated. They didn't want this to run up the chain in case they were caught, because they felt that if there was at least some plausible deniability, and I think there's probably actual deniability. I mean, I heard old Joel Klatt talk about this. He said that he asked Jim Harbaugh point blank. He said Jim Harbaugh is one of the only coaches that's never lied to him. And obviously he wants to put on a good face on this one. But I just don't know. I don't know how much of an impact, especially moving forward, even before the Ohio State game, something like this had been revealed. And quite frankly, once offenses get a wind of this, and the offenses are doing this anyway, they're changing their signs. They're doing all kinds of things. And this advanced scouting rule was put into place in 1994, and it was really more for budgetary concerns, that advanced scouting. And the landscape of college football has changed. My guess is that rule is going to change. I don't really think it has an impact on Michigan winning the national championship.
Yeah, I don't think it has an impact either, Robert, as far as their national championship, because if they were cheating That was a while ago. It wasn't in these last 4 or 5 games, right? It just wasn't. So I look at it from that standpoint, and some people say, well, they were put in this position because they won those games that they cheated in. I don't really care about that, but as far as I get it, I love Joe Klatt too. But Joe, don't fall for the I don't know anything from a head coach who runs the entire athletic department.
Yeah.
Okay? At Michigan. He's the head coach who runs the entire athletic department because football is king in Michigan. So let's not, I don't know anything. I cannot fall for that one.
But here's the thing, though, Key. We know that, especially with digital, in the digital age, everything's out there, right? So I'm guessing that there would have been some evidence uncovered by this point that would have implicated Jim Harbaugh if that evidence existed. And that's why, again, you talk about, who was it, Mr. T? Who was the booster that they said they just identified him as Mr. T or whoever that booster was that financed this operation, Connor Stallions and that linebacker coach. Again, I think that they designed this program intentionally to shield Jim Harbaugh. So that operation, that spy operation they had was designed to keep him out of this. I know, Key, you don't believe it. You believe
Never. Never. As I told Skip and Sherm and Michael Irvin, I will never believe